We're going to discuss how to become a millionaire on a low wage in today's video. An amazing example is the case of Ronald Read, whose face appeared in every media outlet following his death in June 2014 because of a secret he kept from everyone, even his own family. Ronald succeeded in accumulating a sizable fortune of $8 million, and he was by no means one of the typical millionaires you see nowadays. Ronald was an exception. He was raised on a low-income farm, finished high school, and spent the majority of his time working as a janitor for minimum money. I know how Ronald accomplished it, but in the 2000s, custodians made about $22,000 a year. Ronald was able to transform that money into $8 million. The wealth formula is the first lesson. Ronald was most notable for having discovered the undiscovered riches formula that is not taught in schools. The formula is the difference between the amount of money you take in and the amount you spend. So cash flow is equal to income less expenses. You have money left over to invest if your cash flow is positive. You are in debt if your cash flow is negative. Let's say that you make $5,000 every month. Should your cash flow be negative or zero, it indicates that your expenses exceed $5,000. You will never be financially free in this situation. Spending from $0 to $5,000 can result in a positive cash flow. Once you've saved enough, you can use your savings to create income in the future. Second lesson, the key to determining if you're on pace to become a millionaire by 65 is determining how much money you've saved at your current age. To make changes to your money before it's too late, you must be aware of this. You will need to save $204 every month if you start saving at age 20 in order to become a millionaire by the time you are 65. You will need to save $443 per month if you start saving when you are 30 years old. $1,200 a month at the age of 40. The monthly cost is $2,795 at 50 and so forth. Like most things in life, it will be easier to get the desired results if you start early. However, as I am unaware of your specific financial circumstances, certain assumptions have been made in these computations. One is that you have nothing at all to begin with. The second is that you have to raise your investment every year by 7%. Third, in order to stay up with inflation, you raise your monthly contributions by 2% annually. Consequently, if you invest $100 in the first year, you will invest $102 in the following year, and so forth. Of course, a lot of things affect these mathematical computations, so it's best to start saving as soon as possible. I would like to offer you some advice. Quit tracking every expense or creating a budget. Do you really think that affluent people keep an Excel spreadsheet account of everything they spend? No, I don't believe that. They don't have a budget, but they manage their spending in a very different method that saves them a ton of time and makes things easier. Don't get me wrong, though. If you struggle with spending or aren't in a solid financial situation, creating a precise budget might still be a smart idea. That's what the wealthy and I do. Every month, I move the money I want to spend to a spending account and the money I want to save to a savings account. My income is automatically placed into my checking account. My living expenses, fixed monthly bills, etc. are all included in my spending account. The idea is that I can establish spending targets for things like food, entertainment, vacation, shopping, etc. because I know my fixed monthly expenses. At the end of the month, anything I haven't used is still in my account. How to raise your investments is the subject of the third lesson. Returning to income, it will not be what you anticipate. Over 75% of millionaires, according to a poll, are from low-income backgrounds. The one thing that all millionaires have in common is that they typically have 3 to 7 different sources of income. Ronald Read had 2 jobs, a janitorial job and one I'll tell you about in a moment. There are 2 main benefits of having many revenue streams. One is minimizing your reliance on a single source of income, such as your full-time work. Your principal employment may seem risk-free to you, but it's actually riskier than you think because you're instantly destitute if your boss decides to fire you. The possibility of improving your cash flow formula is the second advantage. If your expenses total $300 per month, you might try living a more modest lifestyle and reducing your spending to $2,400. But since all you need to survive on is rice and water, there's always going to be a limit to how much you can save. However, your cash flow will significantly increase if you can generate an extra $100 every week or just a little bit more. To increase your income, you may follow the conventional route and work more hours, request a raise, or even look for a better position. Starting a side business is another possibility, something I used to do when I had a full-time job. It's a fantastic method of making extra cash. It may take a few more hours depending on the kind of job you start, but I promise it will be worthwhile in the end. Having said that, I recognize that finding a new source of money is probably the last thing on your priority list. Fourth lesson, you must go beyond the method for calculating wealth. Ronald's success in cash flow management goes beyond his mastery of this formula. When he passed away, the truth about the other secret he had been keeping was exposed. Truly, not even Ronald's family knew his secrets. He had made investments in about 95 different equities during his life. I've decided to provide you some advice after looking over all of his financial possibilities. Making smart investments is essential. I'll walk you through the easiest way to begin going, but first, there's a crucial mistake you should avoid. You have undoubtedly heard a lot about day trading. In an attempt to make a quick profit, consumers are depicted in several ads on TikTok, Instagram, and YouTube studying charts and buying and selling up to 20 times a day. You may believe it to be the secret to being wealthy and incredibly fascinating. They fail to mention this, although 90% of day traders lose money. Ronald never engaged in trading due to his expertise. He was an investor who concentrated on a company's fundamentals, which entails he determined the investment's rationale both in terms of numbers and qualitative aspects. Thus, he had no intention of putting his life savings into high-risk equities such as AMC and GameStop. Lesson 5. Ronald Reed intended to make long-term investments. Decades had passed, and he was still contributing a portion of his monthly janitor's salary to his investments. Let's say you have $1,000 saved and you receive 10% interest. You would make $100 in the first year. Second year pay would be $100 for you. How come? Because of the interest you earned in the first year, your investment is now valued at $1,000. After the second year, your investment is worth $1,210. Thus, your third, interest for a year would be $120. An exponential growth curve is visible when this process is shown graphically. For this reason, compound interest was dubbed the eighth wonder of the world by Albert Einstein. 99% of Warren Buffett's wealth was generated in this way. Lesson 6. The most important thing is how you react to any unforeseen circumstances. In the event of a stock market collapse, how would you respond? Most likely, you would sell to avoid losing your life savings. Ronald witnessed 11 stock market crashes, but he never lost money because he understood the trick. The wisest course of action was to continue investing over the long term. Thus, avoid panicking in these kinds of circumstances. Lesson 7. The most fascinating thing to me was how Ronald was able to learn so much about investing, and I figured out the solution rather easily. Ronald read the Wall Street Journal and other free magazines in the library. He talked to his bank-employed neighbors to learn more about money and how things operate. Thankfully, you're already engaging in the same activity by viewing this free movie. Even at $8 a book, you're just paying a few cents for decades worth of information from the author. Eighth lesson, not even Ronald Reed is flawless. He was intelligent, but a few of his investments were a complete bust. He kept investing in spite of these losses since his holdings were spread over a variety of stocks. Even though we're all fallible, I'm here to encourage you to keep trying. But remember that saving money is one area where you can't go wrong. We appreciate your time and invite you to subscribe for weekly investment advice. Post a comment down below. Happy making investments!